All right, today it is Arpeggio Lab from Reason 13. It's their newest device, and I finally got this a few days ago, and yeah, I want to discover it. Let's discover this together. Like I said in the title, I've been seeing stuff about it for a while. I actually went through a good part of the manual. I'm trying to make these streams a little bit of like the same way I do the release notes for, or like I do the releases for Ableton and Reason and Serum and stuff like that. I try to do one of those. I read the release notes so you don't have to. And this is going to be I read the manual so you don't have to. We're going to go through the manual for a bunch of stuff on here, and yeah, we'll be able to see how it works. Okay, my audio is probably going to be different, and I'm realizing now it's just a little tiny bit too loud. I realized that for the past more than a year, the way I had set up my OBS to record my videos and record and do the live streams, I had added the microphone into the scenes, and it was in just the global stuff there where like it was just set up normally in the little mixer there if you ever used OBS. But yeah, so basically I'm pretty sure that what was happening was it was recording. Well, yeah, that's what was happening. It was recording the microphone twice, like one over the other. So when I did my editing, like it wasn't that loud sometimes, but it felt distorted, and I couldn't figure out why. And I've been trying to figure out the source for a very long time. Well, probably close to a year. And yeah, so it is different today. Hopefully it sounds okay. Hopefully the levels are fine. We'll have to maybe work with them over time if they're not perfect. But yeah, so hopefully the microphone's a little bit clearer today because it's not being recorded twice. So, okay, so yeah, we're gonna, bring this back up. We're gonna go through the manual a little bit, and I'm using this track that I'm working on. We're gonna use little bits and pieces of it, but it may not work for the whole stream because I've been noticing when I'm adding Reason a lot of the time, for some reason, it crashes and it just freezes up as soon as like I can add it, no problem. And then as soon as I try to have a look at it, like as soon as I expand it, it just freezes up. So we may have to use a track with hardly anything on it, but hopefully this won't crash. So this is a track we're going to use for today. And then what I'll do is I'm going to add some stuff from Arpeggio Lab on there so we can test what it sounds like in context. But I will also mute some parts of it. So maybe we'll just use the drums and the bass line and then see what this does as music on it. So we're going to try a few things today. And yeah, so let's just go through. There's some interesting stuff. Okay, hold on. Let me get rid of this hold because this is what... So there's some interesting stuff in here that I've never seen in any arpeggiator. And if you don't know what an arpeggiator is, it's basically if you play three notes, normally you'll have the three notes playing. On an arpeggiator, it's going to take those three notes and it's going to like move them. It's going to basically chop them up and move them one at a time and into a pattern. So the best example, and I have to sit there and replicate it at one point. If you want the best example of an arpeggiator, go for All Through the Night by Cyndi Lauper. And it's got that. It's probably the best example of, it just sounds so good. But yeah, so basically here I'm just playing three notes. And you'll notice right away, if you've used arpeggiators before, like this sounds way different than what you would usually have. Usually it'd just be So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. And this is just the initial patch. We're not really doing anything fancy to it. So I'm going to hit this hold so it keeps it. And we're going to look at, there's some features here in the hold that are going to be really useful in a minute. But So if we bring this all the way down, it's basically working. Maybe I don't want this on all the time. Basically, the way this works is it's got the anchor note and the movement. And at the beginning, I was like, why don't they just call the anchor note the root note? The way, because that's what it is, which I thought. So, like if we do this. So the blue, let's just get rid of this movement here. So I'm just hitting, that's just the one note. Actually, in this case, it isn't even the anchor note. I think if we go to pattern 1, it'll probably just... So, yeah. See, this is just... I'm not sure what we're in here. Okay, this one we're in F minor. So this is just F right here. And so if I press the 3... it's still doing just F. So, yeah. So I was like, okay, why don't they just call it anchor note? But why don't they just call it the root note? But it's not, because as you move up, it's using 2, or as you go up, all 3 of the notes that you're playing. It seems to be playing 2. See, all the way up. Yeah, see, when we go all the way up, it's playing all 3 notes. So I switch these 3 notes, it's playing 3 different ones. So that's why they don't call it the root note, because it's, this is basically, they call it, this is the musical part of it. So if I'm playing these 3, this is what's going to be the musical part of it. And then the movement is these notes that get added in between these notes. And they fixed it so these don't get in the way. So I like doing short note length on these. And we can change the pattern here. So if we get rid of the anchor note, this is all with the movement, and we'll actually bring it octave up. You can tell what it's doing. It's sort of like a little melody. And you can tell, let's just stop these here. Oh, hold on. You can tell, like, the orange note will never be playing at the same time as the blue one. The way they explain it in the manual, though, hold on, let me just load it up. They do mention, they say it normally doesn't play at the same time. So there may be some reasons where it does sometimes. Where is it here? It's a movement. I don't know if we can make this a little bit bigger. Movement. Yeah, there's somewhere here they mention that it normally doesn't play at the same time. But anyways, if we go through here, one of the things that they do mention early on here is that it sounds best, like this device sounds best if you're using more notes. Like if you're using, over here they mention it somewhere. If you're using 3 to 5 notes or something, like closer you are to 5 notes, the better it sounds. So if we do that based on just what we were doing here, I'm playing 5 notes here. We can adjust the pattern here. You can tell there's like maybe a little too much going on. It's got like 2 patterns going on. And that's where this mute can be useful here. So we're going to do movement only. So this is just going to mute this. I feel like calling this like the low end and the high end, sort of like that UJAM stuff we were looking at yesterday on the stream. But it's not exactly that, but it sort of is in a way. So we're going to do mute. And as we bring this up, see some of these notes don't get played. And what I like about this is it's not completely random. Like it's not just deciding if it'll play it randomly or not. It like you can actually see which notes it's going to play. So you still have that pattern going through. So if there's too much, and I think there's a, yeah, there is a density here that we could just use this, I guess, instead of the, if we bring this mute down. So if we bring the density way down, just have like one note. So now you can notice a little pattern. And then if we don't want this at the beginning, because it's sort of weird to have that note, it'd be nice if it was further away. We can do this shift here. So shift the rhythm and then see, now it's got a little bit of a pattern going if we've got the metronome on. Oh no, if I do, okay, if I play, it's gonna play the whole song. I don't feel like going and soloing this, but. And then if we put this in context, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute this, everything else here. So I'm just gonna play, it's just the beat and the bass line. And then we're gonna go over here and we'll see if we can, so you can tell in context, especially if I go here. This is sounding nice, actually. If I could do this with the, there's a new tool in Reason that does this, but yeah, it's just easier to do it in Ableton directly. But if we bring this so the first note still hits, but so these aren't recorded or anything. So what I'm going to do, just so we can add something to it, I'm going to, okay, I just wanted to have these notes recorded, and then instead of doing, because right now we're just doing latch, and so legato. And why is it only playing once? It's on loop. Maybe they're just a little bit off. That's very weird. It's weird. It's not playing every time. It's playing every second time it loops for some weird reason. I'm going to remove the hold here. There we go. Okay, that was a weird thing to happen. But anyways, so this is playing through. So if we want to play this along with the track, I'm going to show you something really interesting on here. Oh, hey, Chill and Connect. Nice to see you. Okay, so this is the second one. Let's just hope it doesn't freeze up. Save this just in case, but there we go. Okay. So we're going to just... so we can add whatever, but there's something interesting on here. You know how we were using the hold here? I don't think it'll work as well on this. Let's find a preset where it'll... could work on here. Okay, this could work. So I'm just doing a triad here, playing 3 notes. And if we go here to the hold, like we had normally, we play the 3, it keeps playing them. But there are other options here, and the chord one plays, how do they explain it? The chord, all notes are held as long as you hold one of the notes in the chord. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to play these 3 notes, and then I'm letting go of 2 of them. Yeah, it keeps it keeps playing, and then as soon as I stop, oh no, sorry, we're not on live. We're on, okay, here we go. Let's try this again. I press all three, I let go one, and then the other one. Okay, so as long as you still have one pressed down, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that would be useful, I guess, if you're doing this and then you're preparing to play another chord. But the interesting one on here is toggle. This beat is a bop. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have to release it. I've been reorganizing my tracks, and I have, like, I'm embarrassed to say, probably 800 tracks. I keep starting new tracks and I don't finish them. Some of them are not much of a track, let's say. But anyways, this was in my focus on this, get this one done, and there was a problem I had. Like, one of the plugins I was using wasn't available, and finally I do have it thanks to somebody on Reddit. So yeah, now I can work on finishing up that track. So and then this toggle, what it does, I'll show you their explanation, but it's actually really interesting the way it works. It says play one or several notes to add them to the held chord. Play the same note again to remove them from the chord. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to press the first note, just F. And then I'm going to add another note, and like basically this is a ninth chord here, but it lets you work with it, and then you're like, oh no, I don't want the ninth chord, I just want a seventh. You go to the seventh, you bring it down, this is just a triad here. So it's sort of an interesting way to do it, and I could see it be a really interesting way to work where you're trying to find a chord that works with this pattern. Like, even if I just add, this will sound bad, but I'm adding every note of the scale, and then we're like, okay, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, which is basically now just the seventh chord. But the only thing is, yeah, like here, sometimes you don't know where you are anymore, so you sort of have to clear, because you're like, it doesn't tell you which note. And this is really interesting. I don't know if you noticed here. It says notes, like how many notes are going. So if we have all of them, you'll have this. It sounded bad for a sec, but it doesn't tell you which note is playing. Like it, so, which like makes sense just the way this is set up. But yeah, so sometimes you get all messed up in there. You have to start over. But it helps you be playing around. Like if you want to see, like if I want to take the same note on 3 different octaves, even though you can do it a different way, I'm doing that. I'm like, okay, what would happen if I just added one note? You don't have to be like pressing. If you're playing on the keyboard, you can't really do 3 octaves at once and then have an extra note playing or whatever. So it's an interesting little feature that I haven't seen anywhere else before. So, and Chill Connect says, oops, I saw the video on demand of the Ableton Move stream. I have not yet tried the reverse feature, but I'm excited to try it. Like once you get that muscle memory of like where it is, because it's sort of, I don't want to say awkward, but you have to be in the right place to go and press that reverse button. But I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Like it's one of those things where it'll make such a difference just having a whole drum kit and reversing like 3 of the drums in there or whatever for an interesting sound. So yeah, thanks for watching that stream as well. So, and so this is all, everything I did here is just the basic patch. So I haven't even looked at these presets. One thing I did notice here on randomize, okay, and there's a couple things about this randomize button. If you press randomize, you'll notice it randomizes a bunch of stuff, but actually this one sounds okay. Of course. A lot of the time they don't sound right. These sound okay, but I've noticed that a lot of the time it'll bring like the octave somewhere weird, or the note length will be weird, or the velocity. A lot of the time it's a velocity. So let's try a bunch of. Of course, everything's working this time, but anyways, once in a while you'll end up. It'll be like. It'll be something like this, and you'll be like, it won't sound right. So if it doesn't sound right, the first thing you do is you go to these buttons here. So fix up the velocity, fix up the octave first, really, and then you may be able to get it sounding right. So I don't know. I haven't tried these presets, but and one thing about this, if let's say you like the anchor note the way it is, but you want to hit the randomize. I forgot to mention that with the randomize. Basically, the randomize will only affect stuff that's on. So it's sort of an interesting way, because I guess it gives us a way to lock stuff without, instead of having a lock button for this section here. If you like how this anchor is, you can turn off the anchor, hit randomize, and then this should stay the same. I'm just going to check to make sure that that's the case. So no, see, it is changing. So so the manual lies, because they do mention that in the manual. Randomize will only affect a section if it's turned on, but like maybe it won't affect these. Let's see if we turn this off. Okay, so it won't affect these here, but it will affect the notes. Like, well, actually, let's go back to this one here that we were working on earlier and hope it doesn't crash. Okay, so this here. So if I save this, right? I do like the sound of this. So if we remove the anchor here, we hit randomize a bunch of times. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be affecting the notes, but no, it isn't affecting the notes. We can see here, I guess it looks like it affects it because here. It looks like it affects it because they're moving up and down, but they actually are the same notes. It's just once in a while I think it might change the octave on them. But anyway, so when we have it back on, so it doesn't lock it completely, but it almost locks it, which is interesting. Are there any other notable features, more of a bug fix, for the Ableton Move to secretly tell us their hidden lit up buttons where some are missing? I haven't noticed any any secret hidden stuff in there. It was basically the reverse and what was the other big one? Whatever the other thing was in there. I can't even remember. It was 2 days ago, and it seems like it was a year. But there are a few interesting little things in there, but it wasn't as big an update as 1.5, which it never is. The 0.5s are usually pretty big, but they are like updating, which is good, which means they're putting resources in it and they're keeping Move up to date. So that's always nice to hear, you know. Okay, so on here, so this shape will change the notes, like I said, and then turn the anchor back on. And then this rhythm here, I noticed this can be useful for drums, because it's got the double, and I'll load up a different file after where I do that, or I might be able to do it on one of these. Okay, let's just hope this doesn't freeze up on me. Okay, there we go. If we replace this with the Kong, yeah, upload sets via Move Manager. That's that's the one, yeah. And that's my favorite one, because I was able to back up all the projects I had on Ableton Move, and yeah, it was nice to have that on there. So yeah, this one we need to, I'm just going to do a kit here. Okay, this might be a good one to try. So I'm gonna do this hold here. And once we do here, and we start bringing this up, it doesn't sound great on this, but if we were to throw this on some hi-hats or something, either if you want a glitchy type feel to it, or like it'll take a little bit of work, but it could be useful where it's splitting up your individual notes, and some of them, and maybe even if we slow it down and use this. Do humanize here. So you have to do this and then quantize the results, because this does not sound good on its own. I think it's that snare that just gets annoying, but even just this. I'm not sure what I just did, but this sounds good. So if we take this, interesting thing is, yeah, see, the snare is the one that's getting in the way. But it is really useful for this hi-hat here. So I'm not sure why it's only playing some of them, though. Okay, here, let's try it again. Yeah, something's going on here, but anyways, we do have so you can see this being useful for like sort of glitchy type stuff. You take this, resample it, do some other stuff with it, and hold on here. Instead of taking this out of scale mode, I will just try. Sounds good on this one. That's the one I was trying to get. There we go. We had to have input, not just be hitting it from the pad here. So if we do this, maybe a little bit too much, we can reduce the density. And even if let's try on the track itself. Not how I would throw it in there, but maybe if we bring it way down, just have... Yeah, we'd have to do some work on it, but there is a lot of potential here of stuff we can do with this. So it's got potential even on drums. So I like using arpeggiators on drums. I don't know why. It just it gives you a little bit of randomization at the same time as I don't know. It just adds a little bit of interest sometimes, but it takes more work than it does just with a synth or an instrument. So I still can't connect my Move to the PC. I'll have to figure that out. You know what? I think I might have a solution. I don't know if you're using your Ableton Move with, if you're trying to do it through Chrome. I've been having that problem on Chrome. It doesn't want to work. I don't know what it is. And I've realized if it's on Chrome on a Mac, for some reason, it doesn't want to connect to... I can't even connect to my printer, like if you go to the IP address for your printer. So I tried Safari and it worked. So if you try Firefox or you try whatever, you may have better luck to be able to go on to Move Manager. For some reason, I don't know. It used to work on Chrome and it doesn't anymore. And I asked Ableton support, and they gave me a bunch of solutions. None of them worked. So I don't know. And I'm realizing it's not just Move. It's something with the security settings, I guess, on Chrome on the Mac or something. I don't know. It's just a mess. But if you use Safari, if you're using that, or if you're on Windows, just use Firefox or Edge or whatever, like use anything. So Chromium based browser. Yeah, try that. Try Safari. I'll bet you that'll fix it up right away. That's what I've been realizing lately. So I hope that solves it for you, because I know you've been trying for for a while. So, and go to move.local. Check on your move just in case, because if you reinstalled it, sometimes it'll be move-1 or whatever. So go into the settings just to see what the name of the network is, just to make sure you're going to the right one, and you use a slash at the end if you need to. I don't think you do. Anyways, try it on Safari. I hope it'll work for you. And yeah, so okay, so this is with the drums. I actually really like that. So this is I'm realizing now, like, we haven't heard it for a little bit. Yeah. So this is this one here. It really adds a nice little feel to it. And then I liked what this did. That so if we remove, I want to try this just once in a while. So yeah, in the settings it'll tell you which what the name of the move man, like look for the setting called Move Manager in your settings, and it should have it right there. I liked it better where it was. I like the sound of this. Like, we'll have to do a little bit of work on this, but and I'm wondering if, yeah. The vocal sample in here, which I have to figure out where it is. I want to take it out of this group. So here. Okay, so what we're gonna do, it is the 17 audio. I have to do a better job at naming my tracks, because yeah, I tend to think, oh, I'll do it at the end, and then once I get to the end, I just want to export it and be done with it, so I never really name it. So. So this is without both of the recent things we just added. It's a little empty. So we're actually, like, we're able to do a whole lot. And that's the thing, like, I've never seen the toggle thing on any device. And it might be on a whole bunch of these Reason devices and I haven't noticed, but I don't think it is. So I haven't seen that on there. And the 64 steps or 32 steps here, I find fascinating because generally arpeggiators don't have 32 or 64 steps, and you'll notice a lot of the arpeggiators, you may have little patterns and stuff, but a lot of them is just like it's just the same thing over and over, which is nice to have that pattern too. Like there are definitely uses for that, but it's nice to be able to have a little bit of a longer pattern. So you're using the arpeggiator, but you're getting a little bit of a melody more than just the arpeggiated sound. So all right, Chilla Connect, thanks a lot for dropping by again. I always love seeing you in here. So yeah, and I hope you get your Ableton Move working. And thanks for dropping by. Have a good weekend. And yeah, so I haven't seen that on a lot of them, even the number of steps, whatever. And even if we go, maybe not on this one, but on this one, it could be useful. If we do this, oh yeah. We gotta go solo this one instead. Let's solo this. So let's see what it does if we add the 64. Okay, so it's doing the same pattern both times, which is sort of interesting. And then if we, so I'm assuming if we change this, it'll, yeah, okay, it'll change all of them. I want to try this humanize button and put it on max. Not noticing a huge difference, but there's a little difference there. And then if we try that triple or quad, this may sound weird because and you're noticing it's affecting these what I call the lower notes, like the anchor notes. So if we turn this on movement only, this thing here will just affect these higher notes, like just the orange ones. So that's interesting, actually. Just that. Even if we, let's see what it sounds like in context. Let's unsolo this. I don't know if I like it, but I don't like this pattern as much as what we had going on earlier, but still. Yeah, so let's look. Is there anything we missed on here? So the note length, we'll solo this again. Note length I like playing with, especially having it a little bit longer on the anchor note. See, that already sounds better. And then the velocity, we can adjust the octave if we... It's weird to have these lower. Yeah, I don't like it lower. And they keep talking in the manual about this offset where you can either have it off, if it's fixed, it's velocity from like 1 to 127. So it's easy to figure out. They say offset is going to go minus 127 to plus 127. But like offset of what? Like I'm not sure if it's like offset of whatever the velocity is of the notes coming into it. Or what, but yeah. So anyway, so you can play around with that if you're dealing with the velocity. If you want exact velocity, you'll want to turn this to fixed. And if we turn these to fixed, put them at both at 127, it should be playing everything accented, like everything on full. But and I'm wondering if you should be able to. We switch to the back here, the velocity, because the velocity, you might want to throw an LFO on there to have a little bit of adjustment, like have something sending CV in or whatever to make. So, okay, the input here, velocity, and this one here, velocity. So that's good because I'm assuming this means you can send, not automation, but you can send a signal in to be changing this over time, because it might sound a little bit better if you're playing around a little bit with the velocity as it's playing. So I'm going to look at my notes because I had a few things here. The 64 steps, the anchor octave section, and then I got something from the manual that says the movement notes are normally transposed automatically to stay out of the way. Okay, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Normally transposed automatically to stay out of the way. Okay, we talked about that. And the randomize only if it's turned... Okay, yeah. I guess we went through everything I wanted to talk about. This one here, octave, I'm assuming is gonna... That's interesting too, because usually on an arpeggiator, you have the octave, so you can set it so... If you're playing 3 notes, it'll play those three notes, but it'll play the same note higher or lower here and there. But usually it's like it's set. Like you have it and it'll do it or it won't. In this case, you can tell, like, if we try these three, hold on, let's just actually here. So you can tell the amount, like if the amount is at 0, there's none of that going on. And let's just do 1 octave just so we know. We're gonna do just plus 1 octave. So as we go, so a few of these notes will go into that other octave, and then as we go higher up, more and more go. And I guess I'm assuming when it's on 100%, yeah, when it's on 100%, when it's on 100%, it'll play just that higher octave. So, but then if we go plus 1, minus or plus 1, okay, so we can get one that goes, this one here will be minus or plus 1. So it'll play the same thing, but sometimes higher, sometimes lower. So you can tell these two here went to different octave. If we do movement only, we'll just do just the orange ones. As we go up, you can tell it has more notes below, like an octave below. But I sort of liked it with this, where it was moving these other ones as well. And so yeah, so you can do either 1 octave each direction. You can have, you know, just one direction, 2 one direction, 2 the other direction, but you can't have 2 in both directions, if that makes sense. So so yeah, we'll go to this. But a lot of the time, once you get too far off, like I don't like the sound of that. Like I think the plus 1 for this sound at least is, that's a nice sound if we're going 1 octave away. But anyways, yeah, you can play around with that and see what it does. And then the new seed, I haven't tried that. So if we do this, okay, so it's changing, it's doing that plus 1, but it's giving you a new randomized pattern, but just, it's keeping the same notes. I'm noticing now. Yeah, it's keeping the same notes, just changing the octaves of some of those notes. It's a really interesting way. The only thing I'm curious about is if we do, I always like, because the thing is with automated stuff is a lot of the time you'll do it and then you'll hit randomize again. And then you're like, oh, no, wait a second. That last one sounded better. So I want to see if the undo works on here. So if we do this, I'm trying to find an easy way to, okay, so if we do this, so we'll do this here. And I noticed which ones it moved. And if we do undo, oh. Okay, this one. Oh, okay, I like that. So if you do miss it, the undo will work on here. So that's an interest. The only thing is be careful if you're using it as a rack extension in Ableton Live, because if you do Command Z to undo, a lot of the time it won't undo the stuff in Reason. It'll undo the stuff that you worked on in Ableton Live. So then you're trying to figure out what you did and you have to go here and do redo here and whatever. So if you want to do undo, just make sure you use this here. Also, I think this is new, but it may not be. But I don't remember. I remember trying to hit tab in here and it wouldn't flip to the back. Like you use that in Reason as a DAW. But when using it as a rack extension, it didn't, or as a, not a rack extension, but as the Reason rack. I don't think this worked before. Maybe it did. And I just never, it just has to be in focus, because if you're working on something else and then you go here, let's reopen it here. Like it won't do it until you put this in focus, and then you just have to click somewhere in it and do that. But it's always nice to have. One thing I like on here, I don't know why, but it's these little droplets of like telling you what's going on. It's the same thing here. Like you've got so these drops are showing you like which one the anchor or the movement is moving. And on the back here, you have it, and then you see when both of them are going. And I don't know why. It's just like, it's just peaceful to look at. So a very, I don't know, one of those interesting things. Like years ago, they had, and I doubt it's still in there. We should check. And they should put it back in. I think I had checked and it wasn't, but I always wonder if they will put it back in. If you had the subtractor on here, these screws would move. I think it was these. A couple of the screws would move. Like, it was weird. I think it was these, but no, it doesn't do that anymore. So yeah, that's Arpeggio Lab. It's a really useful little arpeggiator. Does a little bit more than what a lot of them do. It is a little bit expensive, so if you are looking for it, you might want to wait for a sale, especially because it's been out for a little while. Or if you have Reason Plus, it's in your thing. That's what I ended up doing for this, because I don't have Arpeggio Lab, but I ended up getting Reason Plus for 2 months. They gave me an offer of like $1 a month for a couple months. So I did that and installed this. Will I like get the device? I may. And if you have Reason, there's a lot of people don't know about this, but if you go to, what is it? Hold on. I'll go in this other Reason rewards. Rewards store. Okay. If you go to this URL here, so reasonstudios.com/shop/rewards. If you go here and you're logged into your account, you can find out how many rewards you have. And a lot of people don't know they have this, but if you've been getting Reason for a while, especially if you've had it over the years, you'll notice that you might have a couple $100 in there in points. So, and again, you want to wait, because this is going to cost, it's 99 Canadian, I don't know, probably around 79 probably US. But when it goes on sale, these go on sale as well, which is really nice. So if there's something you've been eyeing here, especially the Reason Studios ones, like that's how I get a bunch of these, is I wait till there's a good sale and get that with the points. So yeah, so if you do have that, go check this link here in the URL. I know I went through it a little bit quickly. It's reasonstudios.com/shop/rewards. And a lot of people don't know you can do this. So might save you a little bit of money. Or if you absolutely want this device or another one and you have enough points, well, go ahead and get it right away. The only thing is, if you get, like, you can't get more points. Like this one, in this case, if I got like $100 in points, I'm okay. I'll lose that extra dollar, but you can't like split it up. You can't, like, you have to, if you get that coupon for that, like, they'll send you a voucher that you can use in your cart. But yeah, like, you'll lose the extra amount. So if this, if you had $150 in credits that you turn into a voucher, and then you just get this, you're going to lose the extra $50. So just make sure that whatever you're getting is close to the amount of the voucher, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's Arpeggio Lab. Thanks for being here. It was interesting to discover this. I always like discovering this with you guys. And like I've been saying all week, I'm going to be doing a whole lot more live streams in the next little while. So hopefully next week, I don't know what my topics are going to be next week. And I've got a few ideas for a few things, but none of them specific. So probably Monday. If not, it'll be Tuesday. But I'm pretty sure I'll be doing a live stream on Monday. And yeah, thanks a lot for being here. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who chats, who watches. I don't care if you're lurking, you're just sitting there watching. I'm glad you're learning something, and I'm glad you're here. So I really appreciate all of you. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you probably next week, unless something comes up in the meantime, which could happen. If Serum 2.1 launches like at 3 this morning, like tonight, I'll be here. So, but anyways,